All right, here we go. We have Tony Gonzalez, aka Geezy, the former manager of the Clipse, who came home from doing 8.5 years. Welcome to VladTV.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us here. And, this is your first time here, and I think you have a very important story. So I want to go ahead and start in the very beginning. So, where exactly did you grow up?
I grew up in Virginia, 757 area, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Portsmouth, that
Oh,
all that area.
okay, born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Chicago, but let's say conceived in Chicago. My mother just so happened my father's from the west side of Chicago, Humble Park, and my mother was visiting him when she had me, and then we went back to Virginia where I was born and raised.
Okay. And in Virginia, did you grow up with a two-parent home, one-parent home?
Well, I grew up when my mother went back to Virginia. She went back by herself, and her and my father, my real father, separated, and my stepfather raised me since I was like 9 months, and so he played a good role in the house.
Okay. And as you were growing up, was your family struggling? Were you middle class,
Um,
well-to-do?
yeah, we were struggling. We actually I grew I was we went to Norfolk, a place called Robin Hood, that's torn down now. Till I was about 3, and then my mother moved to Twin Canal, a place in by Green Run in Virginia. But my grandma stayed out a place called Bayside, which I ended up going to go stay with my grandma because my mother and father, with them struggling, I went and stayed with my grandma, who actually raised me. And so I ain't have much, and but the area where I grew up in, it was all the action, everything going on, you know. But my household, growing up under my uncles and my aunt husband, who was Panamanian, that's where I saw all the drugs and stuff in and out the house, and you know,
Okay, so you're growing up in this house and you're starting to see drugs at an early age.
yeah.
At what point did you start dabbling yourself?
Um, when I was about in junior high, you know, I grew up with the going up under the couch and seeing a plate of cocaine with a straw, and I'm like, "What is this?" So when I got in junior high, I ended up finding out what that was. Through going across the street to the neighborhood called Bayside Arm, and with me going over there and seeing what the guys then were doing over there, I was like, "Oh, I got that in my house." So I had a stepbrother. I had a stepbrother who my grandma and them ended up raising too, and he used to go inside my uncle. He used to go inside my uncle jacket. He ended up finding the stash and ended up going inside my uncle jacket and taking it and giving it to me. So I took it across the street to the neighborhood and found a fiend to actually cook it up for me, and that's how I first got into the game.
Okay, and how old were you at the time?
I was probably about 15,
Okay, so at 15 years old, you essentially became a drug dealer.
basically. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the Clips, the two brothers, had they moved to Virginia at this point or not really?
Um, I wasn't sure. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't know anything about them until I turned probably about, I said about 17, 18, something like that. Probably like 19. Um, but I didn't know anything about them at the time.
Okay, so from 15 to right around 19, were you continuing with the hustling?
Yeah, yeah. I had started to, because I always been with me having a Spanish last name, it was kind of easy for me to end up finding different connects. But like I said, I had an uncle who was Panamanian, and I remember being at my grandma's house one day, and he's sitting there counting 250,000, and I'm like, wow. So I end up getting something from him and going and actually serve the other guys who was actually on the corner. and but then he ended up getting deported. So when he ended up getting deported, I had to find my own way. So I ended up finding my own way, and I was friends with this guy named Tony. He had the same name as mine, and he used to cook. So he actually showed me how to actually cook, and so we riding down the street one day, and a song come on the radio, 103, and a song called "I Got Caught Dealing at the Age of 15." So I'm like, "Hey, who is that?" And he like, "Man, that's the Clipse." And I'm like, "The Clipse?" He like, "Yeah, that's for real group." So I was like, "You know them?" He was like, "Yeah, I know them." Like, they're at the studio right now. So I was like, "Well, shoot, man, I need to go meet them because they talking about what I like to do." So he was like, "But I set it up. As a matter of fact, we can see we go past there tomorrow." So my mind started racing. So I'm like, "All right, there's a guy in my neighborhood, Abe named Chance." So I said, before we go to the studio tomorrow, I'm gonna go grab Chance and take him to the studio to see if I can get him on the radio. That's how easy I'm thinking it is. But me not knowing that Chance came up under Teddy Riley and them, because Teddy Riley and them had came down to Virginia at the time and shot a video down the beach with Pharrell called Rump Shaker. So I'm thinking, oh man, I can get in the game. I can get Chance on. I can be this manager or whatever. And but everything didn't go to plan like I thought.
Okay. So by the time you're 19, how deep in the drug game are you?
I'm deep. I'm actually going to I'm going to New York with another childhood friend of mine, and I'm transporting drugs back and forth from New York to Virginia.
Okay. And we're talking about kilos, tens of kilos, hundreds of kilos.
At the time, because when I finally saved up my money, I was able to get one key, and then there wasn't nobody around Virginia who I can actually get it from. Like talking about it, I ended up going to get one, and then it ended up turning into like 3 keys at a time, and I'm coming back and forth like that.
Okay. So that's around what, 50,000 or so every transaction?
Yeah, at the time actually they was going for like in New York probably about 20, 24, 23, something like that at the time.
Okay, so it was actually more than that. So around 75,000.
Yeah.
Okay.